start the next session now, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. So we were discussing this hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that said that the believer has 30 rights over his fellow believing brother. And we covered some of them, and we'll move on to the next one, inshallah, which is fulfilling your trust to your brother in faith. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Holy Quran in Surah Ma'idah, ayat 1, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ufu bil uqud. O you who believe, stand by your contracts and obligations, fulfill your contracts. So firstly, we have the covenant that we have made. We have to look at different covenants. They encompass many different aspects. So the first one that we have is the covenant that we made with our Creator when we accepted the path of Islam. I know many people born on the path of Islam, but at some time in their life, they have to come to the fact where they accept it. And they say, okay, I'm born as a Muslim, but I accept this as the truth. And we have to stay truthful to our covenant that we made to follow the guidance of Holy Quran, the guidance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the guidance of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And we shouldn't be like the man that's mentioned in the Quran who's in the boat and he's surrounded by the storm. The one who called out on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save him. He says, Ya Allah, save me, I'll do the right thing. But then when he got to the land, he forgot about all of the things that he had promised. Allah says in Surah Yunus, ayat 22 to 23, when you are in the ships and they sail along with them a favorable wind, exulting in it, and there comes upon them a turbulent wind, and waves come on them from every side. They think that they are besieged. They invoke Allah, putting exclusive faith in Him. They say, if you deliver us from this, we will surely be from the grateful. But when He delivers them, behold, they commit violations on the earth unduly. O mankind, your violations are only to your own detriment. So a lot of times we find ourselves surrounded by many problems that can be likened to this storm that this person is going through on this boat. And we call out on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us out of that situation. The question comes, when He helps us gain whatever it might be. A person may be in prison and they want their freedom. A person may be sick and they want to overcome their sickness, or whatever problem they are facing, financial, many things that people face. We call out on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us, for our problem. Then will we go right back to the way that we were doing things before, neglecting Allah, forgetting our promise. We have to uphold that and honor our covenant that we made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by upholding our religious duties, by following the Quran and Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam to the best of our abilities. I have seen this before with some people, they had something go wrong. They called out on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah helped them out of that thing. And then when they got over that thing, what did they do? They went back to doing what they did before. They were doing all sort of haram and all sort of other things, And I was looking from the outside looking in, you're like, Allah just saved you. Like, why are you doing that, But this is the nature of man. It brings back to this ayat that the person's in the boat, they call for help. Allah gives it to them, then they forget about it after that. They only remember Allah in the times of difficulties. So this is the covenant that we have to fulfill between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyan Wali Allah. So secondly is the trust that we have between people. Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, the faithful believers are brothers of each other. They should not insult each other. They should not deprive each other. They should not mistrust each other. So a quality of being a believer is that we should trust each other. We shouldn't have mistrust. I've been to some places, they say, I don't want to do business with the Muslims because they will cheat me. I do business with disbelievers, and they are more honorable with me than the Muslims. This is the state, that we are in. It's very sad. It's not everywhere, but it is happening. So we have to stick to these riwayat, where if we want to be a believer, Imam says, don't mistrust each other. So we have to have trust in each other. We shouldn't assume the worst of our brothers in faith. We have to have a husn dhan. We have to have a good opinion. And Imam Ali alayhi salam talks about this. He says, when a community is composed of really honest, sober, and virtuous people, then you're forming a bad opinion about any one of its members when nothing bad has been seen of him is a great injustice to that person. On the contrary, in a corrupt society, to form a good opinion of anyone without a good opinion of any of those people, and to trust him, is actually doing harm to yourself. So depends the environment that we are in. He also said, when he was addressing Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he said, distrust should never control you because it will destroy any association between you and others. For example, we are always thinking someone is out to get us. We are always thinking someone is out to do something bad to us. We don't trust anyone. This will rupture relationships. For example, the husband will be accusing the wife of, oh, where do you know that person from? Or what is this? Why is that? And the wife will also be saying same thing to the husband. Oh, where were you? Where did you go? Where is this? They don't trust each other, and it ruptures the relationship between husband and wife, also between friends, also between business partners. We have to not let distrust control us, because it will ruin us. If we don't have the quality of being trustworthy with our brothers, it's actually a great sin, and actually one of those sins that block our dua from being accepted. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said, and from the sins which are the cause of the rejection of dua are hypocrisy with the religious brothers. And when we go to describe a munafiq, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, whoever has three characteristics is certainly a hypocrite, even if he prays and fasts. He who lies when he speaks, he who breaches his promises, and he violates the trusts. So these people are, if we break the trust, is a sign of being a munafiq, a hypocrite. And we see that violating the trust is among one of those things on that list. So not fulfilling the trust is not only a sign of hypocrisy, but it also brings about destruction to our life. Where we see Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said, if one of these four things makes its appearance in a house, it ruins that house and deprives it of prosperity and of blessings or barakat. One, breach of trust. Second, theft. Third, drinking wine. And the last one is adultery, immodesty. He also said, keeping of the trust brings about earnings, and treachery brings about poverty. This shows a secret to life's prosperity is that we uphold the trust and the covenants with each other. This will increase our risk, whereas breaching the trust is one of the keys to destroy our life. It brings poverty to ourselves. If we stop and think about it, if someone is known for being honest and trustworthy, then people will want to do business with that person. People will want to trade with that person because of the excellent reputation and the morals, the akhlaq that they have. However, the one who's known by being dishonest and breaking their promises, breaching the trust, they will be avoided by society. They'll be afraid, to encounter some sort of loss when dealing with that person until he builds back up the trust amongst the people. Think about when we have our credit, for example. If we don't uphold the trust and make the payments, and we fail on the payments, and we default on our loans, how hard will it be for us to get another loan if we default on a car loan, for example, or a house loan? It will take much time to build our credit back up so that they trust us again to get another loan. But if we are always paying our loans and our debts on time, then people will want to, they'll come to you offering you loans, you know? So it's the nature of people that they don't like someone who's going to breach the trust. So honoring and upholding the trust of one another is essential to build a good, successful community, because relationships are built on mutual trust. If the trust is gone, it's going to be very difficult for people to work together. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah 23, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, indeed successful are the believers, those who keep up their trust and their covenants. So it's a sign of success. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said to Kumail, Ya Kumail, you should realize and know that we do not permit anybody to breach the trust of anybody. Whoever relates that I have permitted anybody to breach the trust is surely wrong and sinful, and his result will be the hellfire. I swear I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say to me frequently, just 1 hour before he passed away, Ya Abul Hassan, give back what you are entrusted with to its owner, whether he is pious or he is sinful, in big or small things, even if it is just a thread or a needle. And he said, Rasulullah repeated this to him 3 times, showing the importance that Rasulullah was emphasizing. It's not to be taken lightly, because he was emphasizing this on his deathbed. Shows the importance of this matter. So we have to honor the trust, even if it's something small as taking a turba from the center. For example, we say, okay, that we accidentally took a turba home. We didn't ask permission to bring that turba home. The center didn't grant us permission to take that turba home. We need to bring the turba back to the center, for example. This is honoring the trust in something small. We made a mistake, we accidentally took it, we should bring it back. If someone borrows us something, even if it's something small, we should offer to pay it back and try to bring it back, and don't forget about the trust that was given to us. We should have to have that person chase us down for whatever we owe them or whatever we borrowed for them, for example. It is the principle of trust that counts, not whether the item is big or small. It's the principle of the matter. And, this right is for all mankind. We have to honor people's trust regardless who they are, whether they are pious or not, whether they are mu'min, whether they are kafir even. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, if a person has considered you to be trustworthy and entrusted something to you, then you should return it in its perfect condition, not broken or this or that. You should give it back perfect. And if a person has committed breach of trust with you and betrayed you, you should not betray him. If someone gave you something, give it back the same way or even better. Someone gave you a car to use with a full tank of gas, don't bring it back empty to them. Bring it back with full tank of gas. If someone gave you the car with half a tank of gas, bring it back with half a tank, or better than that, fill it up and give it back to them with a full tank, something even better. It's like when we say the greeting, someone says greeting to you, you say greeting or better than that. So if people have trusted us with something, then we have to honor that trust. They're taking a chance on us, hoping that we will honor and uphold that thing that they have entrusted to us. So we shouldn't let them down, even if they have betrayed our trust before. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't commit a breach of trust with a person who has committed a breach of trust with you, because in that case, you will be just like them. We don't like that they committed the breach of trust with us. They broke their promise. They didn't bring back the thing we borrowed them, we lent them. So we don't like them. If we do that to them, we are the same. We're just like them. And a lot of times people say, that person took advantage of me. They cheated me. So I'll get back at them and I'll do the same thing or even worse than that. So sometimes we can go from being oppressed. The person took our stuff, for example, and then we can go from being oppressed to actually becoming the oppressor. we can do something, we say we're going to get back at them even worse. Someone said something bad about you, for example, to one person, you go and say something bad about them to 10 people. And you went from being oppressed to becoming the oppressor, just like that. We are better people than that we have to stick to our word because we are followers of the best example of mankind, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, Allah never appointed anyone to prophethood unless he was honest and he was trustworthy. And we call as-Sadiq wa Amin. He was honest and he was trustworthy. And we must return what we are entrusted with to its owner, whether he is a good doer or an evil doer. So we see this example from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and we see this riwayat. We see the example in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa where he was called Al-Amin, even by his enemies. So we have to strive to emulate the best example that Allah has given us, and by putting these ethical teachings into practice. Give an example here from the life of Prophet, that one time a man named Ammar, he was a shepherd in Mecca. He said, I took my sheep every day to the forest and of Mecca to graze. And Muhammad also brought his sheep. One day I said to him, there is a green valley between these two hills that's very suitable for the grazing of sheep. If you agree, then both of us can take our sheep there tomorrow. Muhammad expressed his willingness, and then we returned home in the evening. In the morning, I took my sheep to the appointed place that we agreed on, and I saw that Muhammad had already brought his sheep there, but he wasn't allowing them to graze. So I asked about the reason you brought the sheep here, but you didn't let them graze. He said, I had made a promise with you that we will graze the sheep in this place together. I therefore didn't let my sheep graze before you arrived here. Subhanallah. This is our prophet that we follow. What a good example he set by keeping to his word, even down to the minute details. How many of us, we have to ask ourselves, honor, the meetings that we make with others like this? Or do we don't care too much for this, or we pay little attention to if we even show up or not, or we give the casual inshallah, or the one, not the one that means that we're coming, that means it's the other one that means like, yeah, okay, maybe, but I'll do it or not, but don't count on it. What's worse than that is sometimes we say inshallah and we have no intention to do the action at all, or even try to do the action. And it's very dangerous when we do this with our children, because we devalue the statement of inshallah in their sight when because they hear inshallah and then they never see any effort from us and they never see any result at all. So they begin to think in the mind of the child a wrong idea, a wrong thought, but it comes from us giving them this example. They begin to think that Allah never wills for anything to happen. They no longer want to depend on Allah, because they'll develop an idea from early on that Allah is not dependable and not to trust in Allah anymore. It's a wrong idea about Allah, but we have to be mindful how our children perceive it. When we say inshallah, we have to strive our utmost, and we have to keep our word, and we have to put our best effort into that action and pray for Allah's help. We shouldn't tell them inshallah if we know that we're not going to do that thing. They say, okay, can we go to the park tomorrow? And you don't want to go to the park tomorrow, and there's no way you're going to the park tomorrow, but to keep them quiet, yeah, inshallah, inshallah. Every time you say inshallah, I've seen the kids, they yell at they're telling their parents, every time you say inshallah, nothing happens. This is a very bad example from us as parents giving to the children. So when we say inshallah, we have to try our best to make it happen and depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in that. Imam Bakr alayhi salam, he said that Allah has not given superiority to a mu'min, a believer, in three cases. First, is to return what has been entrusted to you for safekeeping, whether it belongs to a mu'min or a kafir. Second, fulfilling an oath, whether it's given to a mu'min or a kafir. Third is doing good to the parents, whether they be mu'min or kafir. So regardless of a person's faith, we have to fulfill our word. Regardless of a person's faith, we have to be good to our parents. And our parents will be affected, inshallah, by our behavior, and they will see good in Islam because of there's a lot of stories about this in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One guy, he used to treat his mother not so great before, but he embraced Islam. He learned about the teachings of Prophet, and the Prophet told him to go, serve her and deal kindly with her because she's your mother, even though she's not a Muslim. So he started taking extra care of his mother, doing so many nice things for her. And she said, "Wow, you never did this before. Like, where did you get that from? Why are you doing all this nice stuff for me?" And he said, "My prophet, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught me these things." And this led her to embrace Islam because of this. So we have to fulfill our word. We have to be kind. We have to do when these three things, it doesn't matter who they are, mu'min or kafir, good doer, evil doer. It doesn't matter. We cannot take advantage of a person just because they are kafir, for example. And we have to remember that our actions with other people from different faiths will either attract people towards Islam, or we could now push people away from Islam. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to, protect us from setting a bad example for mankind and allow us to follow the best of examples that we have in Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhi wassalam. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said, by he who has sent Muhammad as a prophet of truth. So he swears by this. And he says, even if the killer of my father, Hussein ibn Ali, the one who killed Imam Hussein, entrust me with a sword with the one he used to kill my father, I would surely give it back to him. Subhanallah. Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, abide by piety, diligence, honesty, fulfillment of the trust of the charitable as well as the sinful. If the killer of Ali ibn Abi Talib deposits a trust with me, I would surely keep it for him. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, you should know I will fulfill the trust even if the killer of Ali deposits something with me or seeks my advice or consultation. Return whatever you are entrusted with to its owner, even if the owner is the murderer of Imam Hussein. This is from three Imams, Imam Sajjad, Imam Bakr, Imam Sadiq, all saying this. It shows the importance of fulfilling the trust. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, he given us the criteria in this narration of how to be considered trustworthy people. He said, no one should be regarded as trustworthy before he keeps three things: money, secrets, and honor. He who keeps two but betrays the third is not considered trustworthy. So they have to be trustworthy when dealing with people's valuables. If they give you a loan, you have to fulfill the conditions of the loan. If they entrust you with something to hold it and keep it safe, then you have to make it your debt. The next condition is guarding the secrets of your brother and faith. We've talked about this before, but just briefly, it's a secret, it's a right that we owe each other, and the other person is telling you something in confidence, hoping and trusting that you will keep the secret safe with you. It's a type of trust. They're relying on the brotherhood that exists between you and also the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to uphold this trust that they are giving you. The secret is like a trust. They're handing it over to you and asking you to hold it for them. Lastly is guarding the honor of our brother in faith. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, a believer's respect and honor is much more than that of the Kaaba. So we would never want to disrespect the Kaaba, so we should always honor our brother in faith. one time a person defamed and slandered another person in the presence of Rasulullah. So another person got up and refuted him. Rasulullah said, whoever defends the honor of his brother in faith, this act will be as a shield for him against the hellfire. So we should always want to honor our brothers and our sisters in faith. We should honor the covenants that we made with with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, upon following Rasulullah, and with Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Especially, we remember the covenant that we made and we were about to celebrate here shortly in another 10 days or so, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi said, "Man kuntu mawla, fahada aliyun mawla." So, whoever I am his master, then this Ali is his master. We accepted the walayat of Ahlul Bayt, walayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. We have to uphold that walayat that we have with them, this following of them, that they are our guides, they are our masters, they are our examples in this life. We honor them by following them, by learning about them, by enacting the teachings that they have given us. We have the best examples. We have so much wealth of knowledge that is at our fingertips, but we just have to put the effort and take small part of our day every day to uphold this legacy that they left for us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen the brotherhood that we have in our community and make our community strong. This community that's built on mutual love and respect for one another. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us become more trustworthy to each other and become united as brothers and sisters under the banner of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhimus salam. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O Lord," is a dua from Quran, "Lord, forgive us and our brothers who preceded us in faith and clear our hearts of any ill will against the believers. Lord, you are the compassionate and the merciful." In Surah Hashr, Ayat 10. So we'll end here, and inshallah, I wish everyone a good Eid tomorrow, and keep me in your dua, and I'll also keep you in my dua. And we'll end here, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Eid Mubarak to you.
Eid
Jazakallah.
Mubarak.
Yeah.
So